Welcome to week 2, where we will be discussing about being present. For today's session, part 1, we will be reflecting on your work as you begin to discover your wandering mind and mind states. This past week, you worked on focused breathing and discovered your wandering mind and what distractions are there. I hope you took the time to write these down and to continue to do throughout this course. You may be wondering, how did I not know how often my mind is wandering, or how do I make it stop? Be kind to your mind. Our minds will wander, and that's what they do. We like to say the brain produces thoughts like the mouth produces saliva. We train our attention, a bit like training a puppy or even a toddler. You're familiar with that. They wander all over the place, but this is their nature. We bring steady, persistent, kind attention to the practice. Each time we notice the mind has wandered away, this is a moment of mindfulness. Maybe sitting in silence made you uncomfortable. That's okay. This does not mean that you aren't doing it right, or something is wrong with you, or this mindfulness journey isn't for you. You have become aware that sitting with yourself is uncomfortable for you. This can be an area for you to work on, to be comfortable with just sitting with yourself. Sometimes it's helpful to journal to get your thoughts out before you do a focused breathing meditation. Journaling doesn't have to be pretty or make sense to anyone else, maybe not even to yourself. It is just somewhere to place your thoughts. But what did you learn from your wandering mind? People are constantly dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. This habit of endless thinking creates unnecessary suffering and is the root cause of most problems. When we begin to observe the mind, we start to notice our habits, or what we might call habits of our mind. Our mind frequently is rehearsing what's to come or rehashing what has happened. With all this rehearsing and rehashing, we hardly pay attention to this moment, the moment in which we are actually alive. Start noticing, without judgment and with as much kindness as you can muster, what your mind is doing. Some people ask, what's the big deal if my mind is wandering? Well, a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. A research study by a Harvard team installed apps on thousands of cell phones that ask 3 simple questions. What are you doing right now? What is your mind doing? How happy are you? The results demonstrated with science and technology what spiritual teachers have been saying for thousands of years. A ruminative mind is an unhappy mind. Certain habits of the mind are related to certain mood symptoms. If you're in rehearsing mode, constantly planning what's coming and worrying about all that might go wrong, you are likely to experience tension anxiety symptoms. If you're in a rehashing mode, replaying how a conversation went south and what you might have said instead, for example, you are more likely to experience depressive symptoms. All of our habits of mind, planning, worrying, fantasizing, rehashing, and so on, can be quite seductive. We do think with our thoughts after all, but we can easily fall into a mind's trap, an over-identification of our thoughts, a cognitive fusion that tricks us into believing our thoughts are actual facts. Someone with depression may have the thought, I am worthless, while someone in substance abuse treatment might think, I am going to die if I don't get a hit soon. Our mindfulness practice helps us with letting go of our thoughts. We see thoughts as simply as thoughts in the moment. We can attach to the thought less, believe it less, when we recognize it as just a thought. Training our attention to be right where you are also creates a more healthful state for your physical body. Rumination downregulates immunological function. Being right where you are unleashes the rest and digest function in the body, related to the activation of a parasympathetic nervous system. A mindfulness practice can lower blood pressure, enhance immunological biomarkers, and change our brains in meaningful ways. I now would like to tell you the story of a man who's always ruminating about the life he would have in some happier future once all his problems had been resolved. There once was a boy who always worried about what he would do with his life and how he would make a living. There simply wasn't time in his life to be happy. All he had time to do was plan for the future. He would tell himself, I'll be happy once I get a career and start making money. Then I'll be happy. He worked very hard indeed until he established himself in a good career where he was respected by many. But he wasn't happy. He was too busy thinking about all the things he didn't have. So he told himself, I'll be happy once I have a family. And so it went on. He got married, he had kids, he had enough money to put them through school. He had grandkids, and so on. But there was always something. And in the end, he died having had a wonderful life. Yet he never took the time to appreciate it. I will now introduce you to 2 informal techniques you can use throughout your day. These practices can help create mini breaks during the day to recalibrate the nervous system. They might be very short, but they are very effective if done in combination with a daily meditation. The first one is called 2 feet, 1 breath. This technique is the shortest mindfulness technique we know of. It simply requires us to first feel one foot, then the other, and then to take one conscious breath. You can also do this technique with your children. When we do it with kids, we let them lift up each foot, but don't stomp, put it down, and then take a big breath. You can repeat often during the day as a small reminder that you are actually living in a physical body. The next technique is called the 3 Ps. This technique is adapted from the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine Family Medicine program. The 3 Ps are particularly helpful for people who have to open doors a lot during the day, like nurses or doctors walking from patient room to patient room. For this, you use the doorknob as the trigger for the 3 Ps. As you reach the knob, take 1 second or the length of 1 breath, and you do the following 3 Ps. First, you pause. Take just a moment for yourself, even just a single breath. Let go of the planning mind and the task orientation of the day, and simply notice the moment. Be present. Be aware of what is happening in this moment by experiencing the sensations of the body, noticing the thoughts and the feeling, the emotions just as they are without trying to change anything. And proceed, using mindful speech and skillful means, responding compassionately to whatever needs your attention in this moment. It is easy for beginning meditators to struggle with their new meditation practice. When people start to meditate or to pay attention to their mind states in general, they are often surprised by how often they are caught in restlessness or sleepiness, in wanting something, or in aversion against something. Everyone has these reactions. And these mind states are so common that they have been taught for the last 2,500 years to meditation students everywhere. They even have a name. They are called the 5 hindrances. Each of them has a very particular flavor, and it is very helpful to be able to identify them all in your own experience. The 5 hindrances are mental states that cloud or obscure our ability to see the mind as it really is. The traditional analogy is that the mind is like the sky, clear, blue, and endless. The hindrances are like clouds that obscured the sky. Sometimes there are so many clouds, or they stay for such extended periods of time, that it feels like the clouds are the true nature of the mind. And interestingly, this is how some people who suffer from depression describe how it feels to be depressed. The first hindrance is wanting or desire. We're all caught in wanting something. This can be as big as wanting a partner to share your life with, or as small as wanting a piece of gum that is in the pocket of your jacket. We often experience wanting as pleasurable and might be seduced to get lost in daydreams about the object of our desire. It may feel unpleasant if we can't have what we want. The second one is not wanting or aversion. As desire, aversion comes in all shapes and forms. Aversion against a political party, or aversion against the length of a particular sitting meditation, or against the pain in your shoulder. We usually experience aversion as unpleasant and try to get rid of it. The third is restlessness or worry. You could say that restlessness is felt in the body, while worry is restlessness in the mind. Restlessness makes it hard to sit still. For meditation practice, it is helpful to point out that restlessness gets worse if the meditator acts on the impulse to move. 4 is sleepiness or lethargy. This one needs no explanation. Everyone knows it and can recognize it. It's hard to be mindful of sleepiness, as it's a slippery slope into dozing off. The state of lethargy is similar. It is a sense of moving through molasses. And the last one is doubt. Doubt comes last, as it is the most dangerous one. Why is that? Because the mental hindrance of doubt can get you to stop practicing. Doubt comes in the form of thoughts like, I can't do this. I don't think this mindfulness stuff works. Maybe it works for others, but it doesn't do anything for me. Maybe I should try dancing or whatever else instead. In a nutshell, when working with hindrances, keep in mind that they are not a problem if you don't make them into one. You identify them, name them, and don't take them personally. Oh, that is just an aversion doing its thing. This is what restlessness feels like. If you let them be, they will change. Trying to get rid of them would be falling into another hindrance again. Aversion against the hindrance. Now I will introduce you to a short guided mindfulness exercise called a grounding meditation. This one helps us to get out of our heads and into our bodies. Find a comfortable posture with both feet on the floor, allowing the eyes to close gently if that feels okay, or just lowering your gaze. Now bringing attention into the areas of contact that your feet are having with the floor, feeling into your feet. Notice the solid ground under your feet, maybe feeling where your shoes are in contact with your feet. Now moving on to your thighs and buttocks, noticing where they have contact with the chair. Just allowing the ground and the chair to hold and support your body without you needing to do anything. Now move your attention to your back. Where does your back touch the back of the chair? Can you feel the difference between where there is contact and where there is none? Now move your attention to your hands, feeling into your hands, maybe noticing the position of their hands. Maybe notice what they are touching. Perhaps the chair, your thighs, or maybe the other hand. You can ask yourself, how do I know I have hands without looking? You just know, right? We can feel the hands from within. Now opening the awareness, feeling your entire body sitting here, in this moment, on this chair. And now, for the last minute or so of our short meditation, bringing the attention to the breath. If you like, you can make the next couple of breaths a little bit deeper so you can really feel the breath. Ask yourself where you feel it the most or where the sensations are the most pleasant. At the nostrils where the air comes in, at the back of your throat, in your chest, or maybe in your belly. Using that place as the anchor for your attention. This is where you want to come back to over and over whenever the mind wanders off. Now letting the breath just breathe itself. No need to make it any other way than it wants to be. And when you notice your attention is somewhere else, gently bring it back to the breath. That is the conclusion of our Week 2 Being Present Part 1 session. Your next handout to work on this week is 2 ways of doing anything. This week, I want you to use a guided meditation, such as a body scan or the grounding meditation we just did, as your homework. There are video or audio versions saved under the Resources tab on the website. If you also felt uncomfortable with sitting in silence, I encourage you to continue to work on this, whether it's just a minute or 2 a day. Thank you for continuing to participate in this course, and take care.